It was supposed to be just another day on Capitol Hill. Reporters were circling like hawks, waiting for a moment, a spark, anything that could set the news cycle ablaze. Then, it happened. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett took the mic during a live panel discussion, and what followed was the kind of political moment that instantly breaks the internet and leaves aides scrambling in hallways. She stood tall, calm, and ready, her eyes scanning the audience with the precision of a litigator and the heart of a community fighter. The topic had started simple: ethics in public office, the weaponization of family narratives, and the ever-blurry line between public and private life for political figures. But then a question was raised by a host, the kind of question that could either be brushed off with a smile or detonated with words. Congresswoman Crockett, the host asked, "What do you say to those who argue that families, like Melania Trump and Barron, should always be off limits, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on?" There was a slight pause. You could feel the room hold its collective breath. And then Jasmine, with the eloquence of a seasoned trial attorney and the fearless clarity of a woman who's not here to play polite politics, spoke. "Let me be very clear," she began, her tone firm but not cruel. "I don't believe in dragging innocent children into political fights. Barron didn't sign up for this. But what I do believe in is truth. And when Melania Trump decides to come out, perfectly styled, saying nothing about insurrections, racism, misogyny, or the fact that her husband tried to steal a whole democracy, but then wants us to care about her Be Best campaign, I have questions. And if she's okay letting her child grow up watching his father call women dogs and criminals without batting an eye, then I worry. Not just for Barron, but for this entire nation's moral compass." The moment her words landed, the reaction online was nuclear. Hashtags flew. Reels looped endlessly. Twitter, or X, as some still reluctantly called it, was split between praise and outrage. Some said she went too far. Others said it was time someone said it out loud. But one person who definitely didn't take it lightly was Donald J. Trump himself. Within minutes, Trump truthed, not tweeted, a response so furious, staffers later admitted it had been sent without clearance. "Jasmine Crockett is a disgrace to our country," he fumed in all caps. "She's jealous of Melania's beauty, grace, and intelligence, things she'll never understand. And to drag Barron into her hate-filled rhetoric is disgusting. She should resign in shame. Total loser." But Jasmine didn't flinch. In fact, she was already preparing her clapback. Later that evening, as the country dissected every word, she went on national television again. Her voice was measured, her tone unwavering. "Let's talk facts," she said. "Donald Trump has mocked veterans, women, disabled people, immigrants, and suddenly he's the morality police? I didn't insult Melania's looks or Barron's privacy. I pointed out the hypocrisy. If you parade your image around as the symbol of family values, yet say nothing when your husband desecrates the office and endangers democracy, then yes, you are complicit. Silence, in this case, is betrayal." At that point, it wasn't just a political back and forth. It was a cultural reckoning. People in churches, barbershops, classrooms, and cafes were talking about it. What are the rules now? Who gets to speak? Who gets to be offended? Meanwhile, Trump reportedly flew into a frenzy at Mar-a-Lago. Sources whispered that aides had to calm him down twice. He wanted to go live. He wanted to sue. He even reportedly suggested launching a PAC just to shut Jasmine down. But Jasmine was just getting started. She appeared the next morning on a popular breakfast show, and when asked if she feared Trump's threats or political backlash, her answer was direct: "I don't fear truth. I fear silence. I fear the normalization of propaganda, of hate, of pretending everything's okay when it's not." She reminded the world that her job wasn't to please the powerful, but to speak for the voiceless. That being a public servant didn't mean tiptoeing around egos, especially the ego of a man who still refused to admit he lost an election. As the week went on, Trump's allies tried to pivot. Some called Crockett's remarks racist, an ironic accusation that she calmly dismantled. Others tried to downplay her influence, calling her just another loudmouth Democrat, but it backfired when her speeches began trending globally. Even in international media, people were applauding a woman who had the guts to stare down the most aggressive political machine in America and not blink. By Friday, Trump had posted over 14 angry messages about her. Crockett? She posted one, a screenshot of Trump's rant, with a caption that read, "If telling the truth gets you called a loser, then I'll wear it like a badge." That post alone got over 2 million likes. What started as a simple panel turned into a political earthquake. Jasmine Crockett didn't just comment on Melania and Barron, she used their public roles to highlight the double standards and moral gymnastics of modern politics. She reminded everyone that silence isn't neutrality. And Trump, instead of letting it go, ignited a fire that only made her platform stronger. In a time when most play safe, Jasmine Crockett swung for the truth, and it landed. Jasmine Crockett stood under the hot glare of studio lights, the camera trained tight on her face, her voice rising not in volume, but in clarity, like the voice of someone who had waited long enough for the moment to be heard. It wasn't rage that carried her words. It was a fierce calm, the kind of truth that cuts sharper because it's not dressed in theatrics. When asked about Melania Trump and Barron, she didn't blink, she didn't dance around the question like so many others would. She answered in a way that made people freeze mid-sip of their coffee and stare at their screens, because they couldn't believe someone had finally said it. She didn't insult Melania's appearance. She didn't mock Barron's innocence. She did something far more dangerous. She told the truth about complicity. She said what millions think but few dare to say in public, that staying silent while sitting beside a man who has torn through democratic norms, spread lies, incited violence, and degraded women is not grace, it's cowardice. And raising a child in that household, wrapped in silence and denial, isn't protecting him from the public, it's grooming him to believe that power and cruelty can coexist without consequence. Jasmine didn't say this with venom. She said it like a lawyer laying out facts, like a woman who's watched her community suffer while elites play games on TV. She said it like someone who understands that democracy only works if people have the courage to name the things everyone else tiptoes around. The fallout was immediate and deafening. Donald Trump, true to form, erupted with fury online. In a matter of minutes, he was flooding Truth Social with a barrage of all-caps posts, calling her jealous, hateful, dangerous. He went after her looks, her intelligence, her record. He claimed she was unfit for office, that she hated the country, that she was trying to destroy the Trump family. But his rage only confirmed what everyone already knew. He had been struck where it hurts most, his carefully guarded image of control. What he couldn't tolerate was that Jasmine Crockett didn't cower. She didn't fold like so many others had when he unleashed his digital wrath. She responded not with insult, but with unwavering resolve. She went on national TV the next day, looked straight into the camera, and said, "If the truth upsets you, maybe it's not the truth's fault. Maybe it's time to ask yourself why it hits so close to home." And just like that, she turned the entire conversation. Suddenly, it wasn't about Melania's privacy or Barron's childhood. It was about what it means to stand by someone who's actively tearing the fabric of the country. It was about complicity. It was about the moral cost of silence. Jasmine reminded the nation that you don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to hold Bible photo ops after gassing protesters and expect reverence. You don't get to run anti-bullying campaigns while your husband publicly bullies Gold Star families and female journalists. You don't get to ask for your child to be off-limits while other children in cages go unacknowledged. She refused to let hypocrisy sit comfortably on its golden throne. And in doing so, she reminded Americans, especially women and people of color watching from the sidelines, that speaking truth to power doesn't require shouting, it requires conviction. Even as conservative media scrambled to twist her words, to accuse her of attacking a child, the truth remained untouched. Because anyone who watched her full statement saw the difference between cruelty and critique. They saw a woman refusing to play the game by the old rules, refusing to be intimidated by a man who built his brand on intimidation. Behind the scenes, political strategists were stunned. Some even tried to distance themselves, calling her too bold, too direct, too risky. But on the ground, in cities and small towns, people were applauding. In barbershops, beauty salons, bus stops, break rooms, people were sharing her clips, saying, "Finally. Someone said it." She became a trending topic not because she insulted, but because she exposed. Not because she ranted, but because she reasoned with fire. And the fire caught. Trump's circle tried desperately to shift the conversation, to distract with lawsuits and new headlines. But the seed had been planted. The idea that silence is a choice, and a dangerous one, began to spread. In schools and homes, people began asking different questions. What do we let slide in the name of civility? What silence do we excuse in the name of family loyalty? And what is the cost of looking away? Jasmine Crockett's words weren't just a viral moment. They were a mirror held up to America's political theater. And while Trump and his loyalists raged about respect and family boundaries, she quietly kept doing the work, writing bills, meeting constituents, speaking truth. Because she understood something many forget in the noise of political war, that real change doesn't come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from walking straight into it and telling the truth, no matter how loud the storm gets.